Okay, Professor, welcome to our show once again.
Always a pleasure. Thanks very much.
Always happy to see you.
Yes.
Okay, so it wasn't quite, but 2-3 weeks ago that we talked, maybe a little longer, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And we were then we were rejoicing over first quarter results that they were positive.
1.87.
That is GDP wise. Yeah. So now the economy tanked 6.1% in the second quarter.
Yeah.
So can we say that we'll be happy if somehow we were to return to, say, a 2 to 3% growth rate? Would that be like the new normal? Is that what we're looking for now? Because the reason I say that is because if you go back to 2017, first quarter to date, we have never had a time when quarterly GDP growth was over 2.5%, 2.6%.
Yes.
So a new normal would be 2 to 3%. Yes. Where are we going?
Well, I want to say I'm still optimistic. I still stand by what I told you the last time we met. I don't think that this economy will tank by as much as 5.4%, which is the projection of the IMF. Okay, for me, we've seen the worst. 6.10 Q2 of 2020 is the worst case scenario. The third quarter of 2020, that's by the end of September. Yes, the economy is still going to shrink, but it's not going to be by as much as 6.10. And if you now look at what we are going to get, for the year, we are not going to be anywhere near 5.4. And I say that because if you look at what has happened so far, Q1 of 2020, we grew by the economy grew by 1.87 in real terms, and we are now down by 6.10. But if you look at what the GDP growth rate for the half year, first 6 months of 2020, year on year, is just 2.18%. So for the half year, we are
decline.
Decline, okay. 2.18 for the first half year. And if we're able to have another decline, and which is obvious, third quarter of 2020, as I said, it won't be as high as 6.10. And I am pretty sure that by the time the effect of the interventions, begin to be felt in the economy, okay, the last quarter of 2020 might even end up being positive. Of course, we also note that even the decline that we had, was moderated considerably by the increase we had in the financial services sector, particularly financial institutions that grew by about 28%. We also had that of information.
But they represent only about 4% of the economy.
Yes.
The
financial sector, yes, 4% of the economy. But what about trade? Trade, of course, declined.
Less than 1% of the economy.
No. Trade is
16%. Transportation.
Yes, the trade is
about
14%. Yes, but of course, trade tanked by 16%. But I was talking about the information and communication sector. Yes. That is over 10% of GDP.
Yes.
Okay. That sector, of course, also recorded a substantial growth. So what I'm saying, in effect, is unlike the shock we had in 2008, global financial crisis that involved the financial sector, which didn't really affect the economy, because in 2008 we still managed to have positive growth rate of even over 6%. Unlike what we saw in 2016, 2017, okay, which was for me more or less brought about by endogenous, exogenous in the sense that it was the collapse in oil price, but it was more confined to oil-producing economies, including Nigeria. It was more confined to us here. It wasn't as massive as what we are witnessing today. And that was why first quarter 2016, the economy only dropped by 0.38%. And then we had a second drop in second quarter 2016 by about 2.something%, which now brought about the recession. So even the decline we had in 2016 was quite small because, as I said, it was more or less restricted to us. Remember, oil fell, the government didn't have money. The states couldn't pay salaries.
The government did not come to life early enough.
Yes, and
in the administration that took over.
Yeah, beautiful. And a lot of states couldn't pay salaries. So we had weak demand in the subnational at subnational levels, which resulted, in the recession.
Yeah.
But what is happening this time? I call this one in particular. I say that we have more of extraneous factors. We have more of exogenous factors. Okay, so I call this one the corona. This is the coronavirus, recession. Because if you look at what happened, or what has happened, the drop we are witnessing is more because of the lockdowns. It's more because of the economy that we closed in a bid to contain the crisis. That's why you have sectors like transport declining by as much as 50%, 49, nearly 50%. Yeah. You have sectors like accommodation and food services, where you have hotels, restaurants, and so on, declining by as much as 40%. Okay. Then I mentioned the trade earlier, construction by 31%. So you have these sectors that were really affected by the closure, in massive decline. Yeah. So the point I'm making is this: but for the closure of the economy, we wouldn't be where
it wouldn't have been a drop of 6.1%.
So the major cause of the recession that we are facing today is
COVID.
The COVID, the closure, which of course also has something to do with the forex, because oil price crashed.
Well, I don't want to say that you're apologizing for the government, but it sounds almost like it in a way. But here's the thing. The reason I say that is this: that why should we say that, oh, it didn't drop more than 6.1%? Oh, don't worry, it will drop only about 2%, 3%. Then also, it appears we are forgetting that we never grew sharply. That's what I said in my opening statement.
Yes.
That we never grew. There was no quarter during which we grew over 2.6% since 2017, long before COVID came. So who would we blame? Will we bring COVID back to that period and blame it for why the economy failed to grow? So my fear is, and I agree with you though, that COVID has a lot to do with the sharp decline. Yes. I mean, obviously there is no way that you will not have the shutdown, like you said, affecting transportation, affecting everybody except for telecom and maybe banking, and not have a problem. Yes. But my fear is, it appears that we are out of ideas as to how we can get our economy on a growth path where rates are upwards of 5% to 10%. Yes. And I want you to tell us.
Yes.
You understand the system as well as anybody. Mm-hmm. What is it that we can do as a country to not just give excuses? Oh, this COVID came and so now we're down 2%. Yeah. What can we do to be growing near 10%?
Yes.
Maybe we cannot. Should we surrender?
Are you going? The 10% growth is. Let's be realistic about it. The 10% growth, 7% on the average. For us to even meet up with the SDG goals, we require 7% growth rate on the average.
Yes.
Now, 10% growth rate isn't going to come overnight. Considering where we are coming.
7%, 8% before.
Yes, we were 7%. Even in 2004, 2014, 6% or so. Yeah. But again, we also had a history. So what I'm saying is, this one coming from 2016, 2017, coming from a depth, a recession. In 2016, the economy shrank by 1.6%. Okay, you're coming from a recession. That 7% won't happen overnight.
In my view, 4% or 5%.
Yes, but if you also noticed, the economy has started growing, gradually. Even though you might say tepidly, it was a tepid growth, but the growth was gradual and a little consistent, such that as of the last quarter of we are in 2020 now. As of the last quarter of 2019, the economy grew by 2.5%. Yes. 2019 was 2.2 on the average, but the last quarter.
But that's not good.
No. But yes, that's not good. What I'm saying is there was one could notice the progression.
We wanted to see 4%. Why can't we have a V?
Yes.
In other words, we don't have anything we can do. That's what I'm saying. Is this a new normal? Should we get used to it, and we should be thankful if we can manage to get to 2.6, 2.7%?
Yes.
When the population growth rate is 3%?
Yes, that's the problem. But again, as I said, I'm trying to be realistic. I agree we can have a V. Yes. But you're also looking at the structure of this economy. The major driver of growth remains the oil sector.
Yeah.
The oil sector, even in Q1, when we had 1.78%, the oil sector grew by 5%.
Yes.
Okay, non-oil sector was, quite poor. It disappointed
Because of insecurity issues. Maybe.
Yes, what I'm saying is
Affecting
it is the
agriculture,
structure
say. Yeah.
of the economy that is causing. So, except we break from the shackles. Okay, we break from the overdependence on the oil sector.
Yeah.
That V shape may not happen. Now, if you look at the other sectors of the economy that can contribute to GDP, agriculture contributes about 23%. This last one, 23% of GDP.
But growing well below 3%?
Yes, it
which is
grew
a
by
serious problem.
1.5% last
I mean,
quarter.
I'm saying on a regular basis. This time 1.something%.
Yes.
But I'm saying
On the
steadily
average.
growing well under 3%.
Yes, so you're now asking, how can we get the vision?
Yes.
We can get the vision by now looking at these other sectors, okay? By looking at agriculture. Agriculture, in my view, has a lot of potentials.
Yes.
And apart from having a lot of potentials to grow GDP, it's also one area that can also employ, we have a lot of employment opportunities.
Absolutely.